Hello everyone, Merry Christmas. Welcome to this very special, let's call it Christmas edition and the last of 2025 of my Sarah's favorite authors videos. And it is Christmas time, therefore I thought it was a great time to talk about Charles Dickens. But with that, I need to explain this will be a little bit different than other videos because the fact is, I'm not a big Charles Dickens fan. I will fully acknowledge that he was an excellent writer. However, I don't enjoy reading his style of books. I remember having to read several different authors, I'm not going to name any other names, throughout the years in school where you come across books that you go, ooh, I really like this author's style, and others where you can say, okay, I get it and I get why people like it, but that's not my thing. And that's where Charles Dickens falls for me. However, I am wanting to talk about him in this series of Sarah's favorite authors because the fact is, he is the author of one of my absolute all-time favorite books, A Christmas Carol. If you've never read A Christmas Carol, you are missing out. Yes, I will grant you that there are so many great Christmas Carol adaptations out there, my favorite, of course, being The Muppet Christmas Carol. However, if you have not actually read the story, you're just missing out. You're missing out on truly experiencing the magic of the movie then, because you're not seeing the connections, let alone just the little extra bits that are in here that aren't in the movies. You could read it in one day in just a couple hours. And I'm a slow reader. It's not very long. And it is absolutely worth your time. I feel like I don't really need to explain what the story is because people know A Christmas Carol. You know about Marley, you know about Scrooge, you know about, well, all of the ghosts. They have become part of pop culture in many respects, and rightfully so, because it is a beautiful story of redemption, which is the reason that I love it so very much. I actually taught a lesson on Zacchaeus from the book of Luke, and I compared him to Scrooge. Personally, I do think that Zacchaeus is the Ebenezer Scrooge equivalent in the Bible, where you have this story of somebody who just doesn't understand, and because they don't understand, they're making all kinds of bad decisions, selfish decisions, and as particularly in this case with Zacchaeus and with Scrooge, selfish decisions concerning money. And then everything changes. And they finally start to understand that there is more to life than just themselves, and that changes them for the better and forever. To have Scrooge go from being someone who cared so little of others, to have him say things like, if they're going to die, they'd better do it and decrease the surplus population, to by the end of the story, the author being able to say, Scrooge was better than his word. He did it all and infinitely more. And for those of us who know the story, which is all of us, everything he promised, that he would be a better person, that he would care for others, that he would look after the poor and the needy. He did it all and infinitely more. And to know that he became as good a friend, as good a master, and as good a man as the good old city knew, or any other good old city, town, or borough in the good old world. What a legacy to leave behind, to think that he went from being a miser to being so incredibly generous. To which I also have to say, it cannot be a coincidence that he chose Ebenezer as his first name, which is a word from the Old Testament, and it's like a recuerdo, if you're familiar with that. It's that idea of it's something that is meant to remind you. Scrooge himself, this character's life, is meant to be a reminder eternally for us, as he's left this story behind, to remind us of what becomes of a life that is lived to serve oneself, as opposed to a life that is lived to serve others, let alone the fact that it is never too late. Until it is the end, it is never too late to turn around. Scrooge was not a young man when this happened. He lived far more of his life being that greedy miser than he did of being this generous, wonderful man who was as good a man as anyone could imagine. And yet he was redeemed because he made the right decision to change his life. I can't say it enough. What a beautiful image, what a beautiful story. And so if you're a fan of any of the Christmas Carol movies that are out there, then I would highly recommend that you read A Christmas Carol. It's just such an enjoyable, beautiful story. I have no doubt you can find this at your public library. You could find it at most any bookstore as well. And if you run out this time of year, you probably, I would bet, could find it somewhere on sale even if you were interested in buying it. If you liked this video, please be sure to hit the like button. We would love it if you would subscribe so you can stay up to date with everything that is going on. And of course, more information for my upcoming book, 2026. To kick it off in January, my book, Another World, will be coming out. So stay connected so that you can stay up to date with the latest information. Thanks for watching. Merry Christmas.